ලෝකයෙන් භාගයයි කලක් පවතින අලුත් පෙනුමයි.
Tonight, for the greater good, President Gotabaya addresses the nation after announcing a snap countrywide quarantine curfew until the 30th of August. Hands tied, with oxygen running low, unscrupulous traders look to take advantage with exorbitantly priced cylinders as the CAA responds.
There is no general shortage of oxygen, but we as the CA cannot intervene and stop because there is no price cap for oxygen.
Homegrown. As cases and deaths continue to rise, immunology researchers reveal that the recently discovered Delta mutations are endemic to Sri Lanka.
This is the first time we observe these three mutations appearing in Delta variant together in the world.
Just in time, Sri Lanka receives 50 million US dollars of the 250 million US dollar Bangladesh bank currency swap. All this and much more coming up on this Friday, the 20th of August 2021.
ඒ කියන්නේ ලයිෆ් බෝයි අවස්ථා 10කදී ලෙඩ රෝග 10කට හේතු වන වෛරස් ඇතුළු විෂ බීජවලට එරෙහිව සටන් කරනවා කියලා.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Shanella Fernando in your top stories for tonight. Addressing the nation on the country's COVID-19 situation today, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that in the current environment, it is not a time to stage protest and trade union action and undermine the country. The head of state added that despite having to lock down the country, its economic situation remains at a critical point where maintaining its stability is the most important factor right now.
මේ වන විට වයස 30 ඉහළ 98ක් පමණ පිරිසකට එන්නත ලබා දී තිබෙන අතර 43ක් පමණ පිරිසකට දෙවන එන්නත දී තිබෙනවා. අගෝස්තු 31 වෙනිදා වන විට 81කට වැඩි පිරිසකට දෙවන එන්නත් මාත්‍රාව ලබා දීමට හැකියාව තිබෙනවා. සැප්තැම්බර් මාස 10 වනදා වන විට 100%කට දෙවන එන්නත දෙන්නට පුළුවන්. අපි විටින් විට රට වසා දමන්නට ක්‍රියා කළත් එම තීන්දුවේ අතුරු ප්‍රතිඵලත් අපි තේරුම් ගත යුතුයි. රට වසා දැමීම නිසා කොරෝනා පළමු රැල්ල කාලය නිදහසින් පසු මෙරට අඩුම ආර්ථික වර්ධනයක් පෙන්නුම් කළ කාලයක්. රට නැවත වරක් සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වසා දැමීමෙන් රට ආර්ථික බරපතල අර්බුදයකට ලක් වෙනවා. එය මේ රටට දරාගත හැකි තත්ත්වයක් නොවේ. කොවිඩ් රෝගීන්ගේ පැතිරීම පාලනය කර ගැනීම සඳහා අද රාත්‍රී 10 සිට මේ මාස 30 වන සඳුදා උදෑසන 4 දක්වා රට වසා තැබීමට මා තීරණය කළා. මේ වැඩ වර්ජන උද්ඝෝෂණ සඳහා සුදුසු අවස්ථාවක් නොවන බව පැහැදිලි කරුණා. රට අරාජික තත්ත්වයට පත් කරන්නට සූදානම් වෙන්න එපා.
අද සේවසකට වැඩි ජනතා විශ්වාසය නව සංයෝගයකින් රයිනෝ රෝෆිං සහ සීලිං ෂීට්.
බත අට එකට මුසු කොට හෙළදිව් අට මුසු.
In a bid to curb the spread of the Delta variant, a decision to implement an island-wide quarantine curfew from 10 p.m. tonight until 4 a.m. on the 30th of this month was announced this afternoon. However, people employed in essential services, the agricultural and apparel sector and pharmacies will be permitted to move about and operate during the quarantine curfew.
Head of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander General Shavendra Silva, announced today that an island-wide quarantine curfew will come into effect from 10 p.m. tonight until 4 a.m. on the 30th of this month. The decision had been taken after a meeting with the Special Committee on COVID-19 Control, which was held at the Presidential Secretariat today. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had reportedly urged authorities to take strict legal action against all those violating the quarantine curfew.
මෙම කාල සීමාවේදී අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවාවන් සඳහාත් ඇඟලුම් කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවල රැකියාවල නියමිත වුණු අයුරුන් සඳහාත් එවැගේම කෘෂි කර්මාන්තය යෙදෙන අයුරුන් සඳහාත් එවැගේම ඖෂධ ශාලා විවෘතව තබා ගැනීමටත් අවසර ලබා දීලා තිබෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම මෙහිදී රැකියාවලට යන අයුරුන් සඳහා විශේෂ අවසර පත්‍රයක් ලබා ගැනීමට අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ. මේ සඳහා මාර්ග බාධකවල කටයුතු කරන ලබන ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොලිසිය සහ හමුදාවේ නිලධාරීන් වරුන්ට ඔබගේ අනන්‍යතාව පෙන්වීමෙන් ඔබට එම රැකියාවන් සඳහා යාමට අවසර ලබා ගැනීමට හැකියාවක් ලැබෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the sudden announcement caused some level of panic among the general public who were seen rushing to shops to stock up on essentials before the 10 o'clock deadline. Long lines of shoppers were seen thronging the streets today, leading to severe traffic congestion in the main cities.
Meanwhile, as Sri Lanka faces difficulties in providing the necessary facilities for a growing surge in COVID patients requiring oxygen, some companies seem bent on profiting from public fears, offering oxygen cylinders at hyperinflated prices. Taking a look into the matter, we spoke to Executive Director at the Consumer Affairs Authority, Thushan Gunawardena, who said that the matter is well out of their hands until regulators introduce a price cap to the product and declare the commodity an essential product.
Right now, as the country grapples with surging cases of the Delta variant, the biggest fear right now is that Sri Lanka will head down the same pathway that India did during its own battle with the variant, where patients were left to deal with massive oxygen scarcities. With many major hospitals in the country seen exceeding their oxygen capacities, affecting their ability to treat COVID patients in the recent past, health officials have already taken steps to bring in emergency oxygen supplies from India. As such, Sri Lanka Navy vessel Shakti was dispatched to India on Tuesday this week to bring back a large stock of oxygen purchased by the government and has already departed the port of Chennai this morning. Further, in response to a request made by the Sri Lanka Navy to the Indian Navy for assistance in expediting the transportation process, the Indian Navy has dispatched its own naval vessel, also named Shakti. The two vessels are expected to arrive in Colombo on the 22nd and the 23rd of this month. As such, Sri Lanka will receive a combined stock of 140 metric tons of medical oxygen over the weekend. In the meantime, amidst rising oxygen demand in the country, some private entities have been seen attempting to take advantage of public panic by offering oxygen cylinders for home use at what is clearly exorbitantly inflated prices. A flyer posted on social media by one such entity on the 11th of August was seen offering a 7-litre oxygen cylinder at 45,000 rupees, an 11-litre cylinder at 49,000 rupees and a 47-litre cylinder at 75,000 rupees. When we contacted the company in question, they however revealed that due to their own shortages at the moment, they're only able to offer the 47-litre cylinder at astronomical retail price of 150,000 rupees, double the price from just a week ago. According to this price, a single litre of oxygen is almost 3,200 rupees. Meanwhile, another company offering similar products is currently offering a 47-litre cylinder at 92,000 rupees and a 10-litre oxygen cylinder is currently priced at 66,500 rupees. Given such a situation, the question must be asked, why aren't the authorities looking into such blatant opportunism in the midst of a crisis? As health authorities and hospitals continue to have to screen COVID-19 patients and prioritize those with breathing difficulties for more critical medical treatment, is it fair that companies as these seem to have no qualms about fleecing unsuspecting members of the public? Speaking to First at 9 Executive Director at the Consumer Affairs Authority, Thushan Gunawardena, however, says that the authorities' hands are tied at the moment, unless and until the product has been listed as an essential good.
As far as the oxygen situation is concerned, we hear that there are various companies advertising oxygen at higher prices. As far as the CA is concerned, these are isolated incidents. There is no general shortage of oxygen, but we as the CA cannot intervene and stop because there is no price cap for oxygen. And if there is a general shortage and if this becomes a widespread problem, the government may intervene and decide on a price cap, then we are ready to enforce that. But as of now, there is no such move to gazette oxygen into a price cap and publish. While
more news on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
country.
Welcome back in more news. Convener of the Jatika Sevaka Sangha, Mayor Anand Palita, has warned the country to brace for a fuel shortage as the country's current stocks are only sufficient for few days. In contradiction, however, Chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation rejected a looming fuel shortage, adding that the country is in possession of fuel stocks enough for well over a month. Following days of rumours and speculations over a fuel shortage, there are contradictory statements being made on the subject from fuel-related authorities and trade unions. Convener of the Jatika Sevaka Sangha, Mayor Anand Palita, says that there is a fuel shortage looming in the near future and adds that current stocks are only sufficient for mere days. Convening a media briefing today, he elaborated on the matter.
කැබිනට් ඇමතිලා ලස්සන ප්‍රකාශයක් කරා. යහපාලන කාලේ ෂෙඩ් එකට තෙල් ගහන්න ගිහිල්ලා අපේ මිනිස්සු මුහුද දිහා බලන් හිටියා තෙල් එනකන්. ෂෙඩ් එකේ තෙල් නැහැ. මාස 3කට අවශ්‍ය තෙල් සංචිත ඇති කරනවා. අලුතෙන් ටැංකි ඉදි කර නෙමෙයි තියෙන ටැංකි වලට තෙල් පුරව ගන්න බැරුව ඉන්නේ. මේක ඇමතිවරයාගේ අකර්මශ්‍යතාවය. එක දෙක ඩොලර් නැති වෙලාවේ ඉන්ධන බැරල් එකට ඉන්දියන් LOC සමාගම ලංකාවට ගේනවට වැඩිය ඩොලර් දෙකක් වැඩිපුර ගෙවමින් තෙල් ගේනවා ඇමතිවරයා. මේක වගකීමෙන් ප්‍රකාශයක්. තෙල් අකණ්ඩව ගේන්න ඕන නම් ඉන්ධන වැඩි නොකර බෑයි කියලා ඉන්ධන වැඩි කරා. මේ මොහොත වෙන විටත් මහජන බැංකුවේ ලංකා බැංකුවේ සතයක් ගන්න ණය පියවල නැහැ. මාසෙට දැනුත් බිලියන එක පොලි බැංකු වලට ගෙවනවා. මේ මොහොතේ විදේශීය මාස 6 ණයට ගත්තු ඉන්ධන වෙනුවෙන් මිලියන 1420කට අධික ප්‍රමාණයක් ඉන්ධන සැපයුම් කරන ඉන්ධන සමාගම් වලට දෙන්න තියෙනවා. ඒ දෙන්න තියෙන මොහොතේ ඉඳ තමයි මේ අර්බුදේ වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් මේ මොහොතේ 92 තියෙන්නේ දින 13කට. සාමාන්‍ය ඩීසල් තියෙන්නේ දින 11කට. සුපර් ඩීසල් තියෙන්නේ දින 7කට. ටොන් 3800යි. 95 විතරක් තියෙනවා මෙට්‍රික් ටොන් 12000. ඒක තියෙනවා දින 15කට. භූමි තෙල් තියෙන්නේ දැන් තියෙන්නේ 5800යි. දවස් 14යි 15යි. මේවට උත්තර දෙන්න.
Meanwhile, with the breaking of the news, long queues were seen outside fuel stations. Some fuel station operators claim that there wasn't fuel left to be pumped. However, on contrast, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says that the country does in fact have enough fuel to tide the country for over a month.
අසත්‍ය ප්‍රකාශයක් පදනම් කරගෙන විවිධ මාධ්‍ය කීපයක සිදුවුණු ප්‍රවෘත්තියත් සමග ඉන්ධන පිරුම්මල් අසල විශාල තදබදයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා. මෙම තදබදය ඇති කිරීමට පාදක වෙච්ච ප්‍රකාශය අපි මුලින්ම කියන්න ඕන සම්පූර්ණ අසත්‍ය හා ජනතාව නොමග යවන ජනතාව කලබලයට පත් කරන ආණ්ඩු විරෝධී ප්‍රකාශයක් හැටියට තමයි මම මුලින්ම මේ ප්‍රකාශය හඳුනා දෙන්න සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. පෙට්‍රල් දින 26ක ප්‍රමාණවත් ඉන්ධන අපේ ගබඩාවල තිබෙන බව ඉතාම වගකීමෙන් අපි කියනවා. ඊට අමතරව ඩීසල් දින 28කට ප්‍රමාණවත් ඉන්ධන අපි සතුව තියෙනවා. මේ ඉලක්කම් අපි ප්‍රකාශ කරේ සපුගස් කන්ද පිරිපහදුවේ අපේ පිරිපහදුව දෛනිකව නිෂ්පාදනය කරන ප්‍රමාණය එකතු කරන්නේ නැතුව. ඒ අනුව ගත්තොත් අපිට මෙම ඉන්ධන ප්‍රමාණය කිසිදු ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව මාසයකට අධික කාලයක් සඳහා ප්‍රමාණවත්. මහ ජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා රට තුල කිසිදු ඉන්ධන හිගයක් මතුවෙලා නැහැ. ඉදිරියේ මතුවෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපි ඉදිරි දින කීපය තුලත් අපිට විශාල තොග ප්‍රමාණයක් අපිට ලැබෙන්න තියෙනවා.
The CPC has also filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigation Department today against the convener of the Jatika Sevaka Sangha Mayor to investigate the false media statements. The first tranche of the $250 million currency swap with the Bangladesh Bank has been transferred to Sri Lanka, according to Bangladeshi media reports. The $50 million will be repayable in 3 months at an interest rate of 2%.
The first tranche of the $250 million currency swap with the Bangladesh Bank, for which an agreement was signed in March this year, has been transferred, according to Bangladeshi media reports. This was confirmed to the Bangladeshi news outlet by Executive Director and spokesperson of the Bangladesh Bank, Sirajul Islam. According to the report, the $50 million tranche has been given to the Sri Lankan government, which will be repayable in 3 months at the London Interbank offered rate plus 2% interest. Accordingly, a further 3-month grace period has been included in the agreement, whereas if Sri Lanka is unable to meet the repayment deadline, the interest rate will increase to 2.5%. 2 more tranches of $100 million each are set to follow the first at the same rate. The Bangladeshi central bank has massive foreign reserves of a reported $46.58 billion, and according to the media report, is comfortable in giving Sri Lanka the $250 million, as it considers the 2% interest an attractive proposition, given that it remains double what it could get domestically.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has responded to messages being circulated in the country, claiming that the bank has placed prohibitions on consumers making foreign exchange payments to individuals outside of the country using their credit and debit cards. The Central Bank has hence issued a clarification on the issue and denied that any such restrictions have been imposed. It adds that holders of credit, debit and other stored value cards are permitted to use them to make payments to persons resident outside Sri Lanka in respect of current transactions of a personal nature. It also added that some banks have introduced limits on use of electronic fund transfer cards for transactions in foreign exchange to avoid misuse of such cards and to prioritize transactions in line with the bank's foreign exchange positions. The central bank has also requested the public to contact their respective banks if they encounter any difficulties in making legitimate payments using EFTCs while using foreign exchange sparingly in the current environment. Human rights activists and the Sri Lanka College of Psychiatrists have come forward against the recent discriminatory remarks made by a counsellor against the LGBTQ community. This comes after a video of a counsellor surfaced on social media openly making homophobic remarks at a police training in Kandy, saying that homosexuality is a mental illness. It can never be argued that the provision of basic human rights should be selective based on gender or sexual preference. The declaration by the UN Human Rights Committee in 1994, stating that laws criminalizing consensual same-sex relations between adults are in violation of international human rights law, is hence of critical importance. With that, however, a recent video which surfaced on social media has been receiving heavy backlash by human rights activists for discriminatory remarks against the LGBTQ community. The video featured a counsellor seen telling her audience that homosexuality is a mental illness and that their children could fall prey to it. Her comments were made during a training session for officers of the Sri Lanka Police conducted in Kandy.
එහෙම මේක මානව චර්යාවට විරුද්ධයි. ඕගොල්ලෝගේ අම්මලා තාත්තලා සමලිංගික වුණා නම් අද ඕගොල්ලෝ මෙතන නැහැ. කාන්තාවක් සහ පිරිමියෙක් එකතු වුණොත් විතරයි දරුවෙක් බිහි වෙන්නේ. එහෙම නැතුව ඔක්කොම සම රිසි කියලා ආවොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? අන්තික මේ රට ආණ්ඩුවත් පෙරළුවා එහෙම කැමැති තියන අය ගැන කියලා. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ එලිපිට එක හඬින්ම කිව්වා මට මේක පොඩ්ඩක් හයියෙන් ඇහෙන්න කියන්න මං ආයෙ අහනවා. මෙතන ඉන්න දෙමව්පියන්ගේ ඕගොල්ලෝගේ දරුවා සමලිංගිකයෙක්ගේ ගොදුරක් වෙනවට කැමතිද?
Sri Lanka's position on homosexuality, however, remains on rife with unfairness, despite Article 12 of Sri Lanka's constitution stating that all persons are equal before the law and are entitled to the equal protection. With that, such remarks remain in clear violation of the country's foremost piece of legislation, the Constitution. First at 9 spoke to the Director of I Pro Bono Equality, Attorney at Law Aritha Wickramasinghe, who stated that such training programs will lead to institutionalization of homophobia in police education.
Sri Lanka's police has a constitutional duty to uphold the constitutional rights of LGBT Sri Lankans and all Sri Lankans, as a matter of fact. Article 12 of Sri Lanka's constitution is very clear that all persons are equal before the law and all persons have equal protection of the law. The fact that it includes the equal protection for LGBT individuals was confirmed by Sri Lanka's Attorney General since 2014. Trainings of this nature, and we saw the active response by the police endorsing the homophobia, labeling LGBT people as predators of children. This is institutionalizing homophobia in an institution such as the police.
Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka College of Psychiatrists also responded to the comments, brushing aside the notion that homosexuality is a resultant condition of a disease of the mind or body. The association also urges authorities to decriminalize homosexuality in Sri Lanka by changing Article 365 of the Penal Code, which categorizes homosexuality as a criminal act. In our business news, exports worth $1.99 billion have been recorded in July 2021, the highest ever monthly achievement, which is an increase of 1.33% year-on-year. Among the chief earners in July were rubber and finished products, which posted an increase of 13.6% year-on-year to $96.65 million in July 2021.
The Export Development Board reports that Sri Lanka's exports have surpassed the $1 billion mark in July for the first time since March this year. According to figures released by the Sri Lanka Customs, exports worth $1.099 billion were recorded in July 2021, the highest ever monthly achievement, which is an increase of 1.33% year-on-year. Speaking on this, EDB Chairman Suresh Demel says that Sri Lanka's exports have shown a remarkable rise despite the current pandemic situation across the world, thanks to what he termed the utmost courage, determination and continuous improvements by exporters in sustaining their businesses during the pandemic. Among the chief earners in July were rubber and rubber finished products, which posted an increase of 13.6% year-on-year to $96.65 million in July, with strong performance in exports of pneumatic and retreated rubber tires and tubes, and industrial and surgical gloves. Further, export earnings from spices and essential oils also increased by 11.47% year-on-year in July 2021, with significant increases in cinnamon, pepper, cloves, essential oils, and oleoresin. Further, export earnings from spices and essential oils also increased by 28.88% in July 2021 in comparison to June 2021. In addition, export earnings from electrical and electronic products also increased by 22.7% and seafood by 119.05% in July year-on-year. However, despite earnings from the apparel and textile sector decreasing by 3.1% year-on-year to $452.55 million in July, earnings from apparel and woven fabrics under the apparel and textile sector increased by 2.76% and 69.43% respectively, while earnings from apparel increased by 9.27%. Meanwhile, export earnings from tea in July 2021, which made up 12% of merchandise exports, decreased by 12.06% year-on-year to $115.13 million, and export volumes also decreased by 8.92% in July 2021 compared to July 2020.
In your headline-making stories tonight, immunologist and researcher at the University of Sri Javardhanapura revealed today that gene sequencing tests identified 3 new mutations occurring within the Delta variant was reported from Sri Lanka, making it the first time a situation as such was reported across the world. He said that the mutations had been detected after analyzing the Delta variant samples obtained from Colombo, which indicate that the Delta variant present in the district belongs to a dominant lineage.
Sri Lanka's daily COVID-19 infections and deaths have been gradually rising in the past few weeks, with record after record being broken. Yesterday was another such day, as overall COVID infections confirmed in the country reached new heights with 3,806. The overall number of COVID fatalities confirmed yesterday was also the highest recorded in the country so far, with 186. With this being the case, Dr. Hemant Herath of the Ministry of Health urged the people to adhere to the health and safety guidelines in order to reduce the case numbers and deaths.
We know that this situation was expected a few weeks ago due to the certain developments that took place during that time, and we also predicted similar situation in the coming weeks, and now it is continuing. probably if we get increased number of cases in the future few days also, it is nothing to be surprised. And the total number of deaths also could increase, basically because the people who are dying at the moment have been admitted to the hospital weeks ago. And at this moment also, a large number of persons have been admitted to the hospital, and the death rate may continue for few days, even despite if we had a decline in the new cases. At the moment, Health Ministry and the health system of the country is capable of managing even the current level of cases that are being reported in the country. But we have to emphasize that this rate of increase and the rate of the health ministry to increase its capacity need to be balanced.
In the meantime, immunologist at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Dr. Chandima Jeevandara, revealed that new gene sequencing tests conducted have identified the presence of 3 new mutations in the Delta variant. He said that this was the first time in the world 3 mutations of this nature had been observed within the Delta variant.
Since there is significant spread within the Colombo district, we deeply analyzed the viral sequencing of the Delta variant circulating in the Colombo district, and we found that 3 unique mutations appearing in our Delta variant, and those are the A22V, A701S and A1078S. So these 3 mutations are particularly important because this is the first time that we observe these 3 mutations appearing in Delta variant together in the world. We don't know the significance of this finding, but we are closely monitoring and investigating the significance of the 3 mutations occurring in the same variant. As of today, the A222V mutation is described elsewhere from the world, but the A701S mutation is detected only in Sri Lanka, and the other mutation A1078S is detected not only in Sri Lanka but also in Malaysia in the world. The Delta lineage with these 3 mutations together is the dominant Delta lineage circulating in the Colombo district in Sri Lanka. We will be investigating it further with another round of sequencing, especially focusing the samples from Colombo area, so that we will know whether there are any advantages for the virus with these 3 mutations for the survival and the transmissibility of the virus.
In the meantime, during a meeting held between the Special Committee of COVID-19 and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the President instructed the Ministry of Indigenous Medicine to make Ayurvedic herbal medicine approved by the Department of Ayurveda as a booster measure to counter the rampant spread of the Delta variant. In addition, Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa has instructed to pay Rs 2,000 each to those whose income has been hampered during the period of the curfew, while President Gotabaya Rajapaksa advised to expedite the handout via the Samurdhi department. In other developments, the country's overall COVID recoveries rose by 2,096 to 320,810. The country meanwhile also confirmed 2,825 new COVID-19 cases. On the inoculation front, a total of 12,053,137 have been so far vaccinated with at least 1 vaccine dose, while 5,311,784 have been fully vaccinated with both jabs. Yesterday, 213,737 jabs were rolled out in the country.
With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Have a good night.